Jake the dog is one of the most familiar faces in U. His voice is warm, his jokes are soft, and his relaxed posture gives the impression that he floats through life without worry. On the surface, he looks simple. He plays, cooks, naps, stretches, and improvises through danger with a grin. Yet every calm choice he makes hides a deeper story, one that reveals a mind shaped by family, responsibility, and a quiet effort to hold the world together without drawing attention to himself. Jake's nature is not defined by stillness. It is shaped by a careful balance he learned over time. He was not born into peace. His upbringing was loud and unpredictable. Joshua and Margaret raised him with the same determined energy they brought to every threat they faced. Their home held warmth, but it also held tension, because both of his adoptive parents felt a duty to protect U and their family at all costs. Jake absorbed this atmosphere without fully understanding it. From a young age, he watched two figures who approached life with intensity. In response, he leaned in the opposite direction. He learned to stay soft where they stayed sharp, flexible where they stood firm, and light-hearted where they braced against everything. This is one of the first hints that Jake's easygoing attitude is not an accident. It is a conscious way of surviving childhood. When people choose calm in a chaotic home, that calm becomes a shield. Jake did not argue with the world. He figured out how to glide past the parts that hurt. He learned that if he treated danger like something small, it felt smaller. If he treated fear like a joke, it stung less. Over time, this became the shape of his personality, not because he was empty inside, but because he was protecting what he felt. He also grew up with Jermaine, who carried responsibility in a different way. Jermaine followed rules, cleaned messes, and felt tied to the expectations their parents left behind. Jake watched the way duty weighed on his sand, brother, and quietly chose not to carry the same burden. He cared about Jermaine, but he did not want that life. He preferred a path that stayed open and unpressured. This does not mean he avoided responsibility. He simply chose a different form of it. Jake took care of people by keeping things light. He protected others by keeping himself steady. Through this, Jake developed a hidden strength. He learned to handle emotional tension by absorbing it instead of pushing it outward. This is why he can sit at the center of conflict and still laugh. It is not because he fails to understand the gravity of a situation. He understands it clearly. He is simply trained to soften sharp edges and guide people toward an easier path. His emotional intelligence rests under every joke he tells. He notices when Finn is overwhelmed. He notices when Lady Rainicorn needs comfort. He notices when someone's fear is starting to take hold. He adjusts himself without calling attention to the adjustment. Jake's shape-shifting mirrors this internal nature. His body bends and flows in every direction. It follows his moods, his impulses, and his imagination. At first, his powers seem playful, something used for pranks or shortcuts. Yet, when viewed through the lens of his personality, they become an extension of his thinking. Jake's mind works like his body. It shifts to fit the space around him. It stretches to hold more than it seems capable of holding. It pulls back when something becomes overwhelming. It expands when he needs to take care of someone. Every movement reveals a gentle instinct to adapt. The truth behind his powers carries another layer. Jake comes from Warren Ampersand, a being driven by control and self-interest. Warren uses shape-shifting for extraction and survival at the cost of others. Jake inherited the same abilities, but rejected the purpose behind them. Instead of using his powers for dominance, he uses them to help. He chooses softness over hunger. He chooses family over advantage. He chooses love over the instinct that Warren tries to impose. Jake does not fight this influence loudly. He counters it through the quiet consistency of a good life. His choices rewrite the destiny placed in his blood. This is one of the clearest signs of his depth. He takes what he is made of and turns it toward kindness. His relationship with Finn reflects another dimension of this quiet complexity. Many people see Jake as Finn's partner in adventure, but their bond runs deeper than that. Jake steps into the role of guide without asking for recognition. He gives simple advice, but that simplicity is deceptive. When Finn wrestles with fear, guilt, heartbreak, or anger, Jake becomes a steady presence. He does not overwhelm Finn with heavy wisdom. He trims his words to the shape Finn can accept. He offers comfort that feels effortless. He supports Finn in ways that make Finn believe he is standing alone, when in truth, Jake is holding the emotional structure from the shadows. Jake also creates room for Finn to learn. He does not control him. He lets Finn run ahead, stumble, and rise again. He steps in only when Finn reaches a point where the weight becomes too much. Jake's support is carefully measured. He believes in Finn completely, and this belief becomes a form of gentle mentorship. He never tries to reshape Finn into someone else. He only tries to soften the landing when Finn falls. This is not the behavior of someone simple. This is the behavior of someone who understands how people grow. His bond with Lady Rainicorn reveals yet another part of him. Their relationship is one of the calmest in U. Jake and Lady Rainicorn love each other in ways that feel lived in. Their connection has no performance. They argue quietly. They reconcile gently. They trust each other deeply. Jake's softness finds a perfect balance in her composed intelligence. Their partnership shows a side of Jake that cannot be seen in battle or adventure. It reveals his patience, his commitment, and his willingness to adapt to another person's life without erasing his own. Their relationship also displays a maturity that contrasts with the freedom Jake often shows. When he becomes a father, he adjusts without complaint. He stays playful, but his sense of responsibility evolves. He becomes a figure of comfort and stability for his children. Not because he forces himself to be serious, but because his love for them brings out a quieter strength. Jake shows that responsibility does not have to look heavy. It can look warm. It can look gentle. He turns fatherhood into a continuation of his own personality rather than a departure from it. Another angle of Jake's hidden depth comes from his brushes with the cosmic. Jake has a connection to the metaphysical parts of U that many characters never experience. He forms a bond with Prismo that is both casual and profound. He enters spaces where the rules of time and existence feel distant. He faces visions of alternate lives that reflect possibilities he never considered. Through these moments, Jake shows an unusual sense of acceptance. He does not panic when the universe bends around him. He absorbs it with the same calm he uses in daily life. His flexibility is not only physical, it extends to the spiritual. Jake can exist in strange spaces because he does not resist them. He adapts to them the same way he adapts to emotion, responsibility, or fear. Jake's humour often masks a deeper understanding of mortality and change. He rarely dwells on the sad parts of life, but this does not mean he avoids them. He simply processes them quietly. When others grieve, he holds them. When others break, he supports them. His softness becomes a cushion for everyone else. This is not a small task. It takes strength to be the calm one. It takes courage to absorb sorrow without letting it crush you. Jake carries this weight without complaint. His hidden depth becomes clearest in the way he handles conflict. Jake is capable of great violence. His powers make him dangerous when he chooses to be. Yet he avoids excess aggression. He prefers to de-escalate, redirect, or distract. He fights when he must, but he rarely leads with force. This restraint is not laziness, it is thoughtfulness. He feels the consequences of violence more sharply than he admits. He knows that every choice shapes the person he becomes. Jake chooses peace not because he is weak, but because he understands the cost of choosing otherwise. Jake's life is defined by a search for balance. Balance between freedom and responsibility, humor and sincerity, power and humility, childhood and adulthood. He moves through the world as if guided by an internal rhythm that only he can hear. This rhythm keeps him gentle in harsh environments. It keeps him laughing in frightening moments. It keeps him present for the people he loves. His depth is the quiet kind. It is not announced. It is not turned into speeches. It is seen in the way he lowers his voice when someone is upset. It is seen in the way he pulls Finn back from despair with a single calm sentence. It is seen in the way he chooses family over the darker impulses he inherited. It is seen in his willingness to carry emotional burdens without demanding praise. Jake the dog is simple only on the surface. Under that surface, he is layered with intention, compassion, patience, and a gentle wisdom he rarely acknowledges. His easy smile is not a sign of carelessness, it is a sign of understanding. He knows that life in Oo is filled with chaos, danger, and confusion, and he chooses to remain a warm, steady presence in the middle of all of it. His depth is not expressed through dramatic transformations. It is expressed through thousands of small choices that reveal a heart shaped by love, shaped by loyalty, and shaped by a desire to make the world softer for the people who walk beside him. Jake's personality flows like a river, steady and unhurried, yet always moving beneath the surface. The more closely his behavior is studied, the easier it becomes to see that every choice he makes comes from an inner compass shaped by empathy. He does not often speak about what guides him, but it is present in his instincts. Jake reads people with an ease that comes from years of watching, listening, and allowing others to be themselves around him. His gift is not grand, but it is significant. He creates emotional space through simplicity, and within that space, others feel safe enough to reveal their truth. Jake understands people because he does not force himself on their problems. Instead, he slips into their emotional rhythm. When someone needs quiet, Jake softens his voice. When someone needs distraction, he brings laughter. When someone needs reassurance, he gives it plainly. These responses carry no pressure, no urgency, no demand for acknowledgement. His support is gentle and intuitive. It is the kind of care that works in the background while letting others keep their own agency. This instinct becomes especially clear in the way he treats Finn. Jake never makes Finn feel like he is being analysed. He never breaks moments with heavy wisdom or strict instruction. Instead, he reflects Finn's feelings back with small guiding remarks that help Finn understand himself. Jake understands that guiding someone does not always mean giving answers. Often it means leaving enough open space for the other person to figure out their own way. Jake gives that space naturally. He has known Finn since childhood, and through those early years, he learned the shape of Finn's emotions. Finn approaches life with direct force, while Jake prefers a peaceful slide through events. This difference creates balance. Jake does not try to make Finn softer, and he does not let Finn push him into unnecessary chaos. Their relationship works because Jake carries patience in his heart. He waits for Finn to catch up emotionally when things grow difficult. He keeps Finn grounded when fear threatens to spiral. He never tries to lead with authority, he leads with reassurance. His emotional intelligence stretches beyond Finn. Jake connects with people who are difficult to understand, and he does this with unspoken compassion. One example is Marceline. Jake sees her loneliness, even when she hides it behind teasing, dramatic flair or moody humour. He treats her with the gentleness her life rarely gives her. There is no pressure in the way he talks to her, no expectation that she reveal her deeper feelings. His presence acknowledges her humanity without demanding vulnerability. This is a subtle kindness, but a meaningful one. Jake understands Princess Bubblegum in his own way too. He respects her intelligence, ambition, and responsibility, but he also sees the strain she carries. He never confronts her with this observation. Instead, he behaves around her with a calm that steadies the atmosphere. Jake knows that PB rarely slows down. She is driven by duty. So Jake becomes a small moment of relief for her, without ever calling attention to the role he plays. His respect for her is sincere, but it also contains a quiet awareness of her stress. He even understands figures who are larger than life, such as Prismo. Their connection is unusual, built on shared humour and trust. Jake does not treat Prismo's cosmic nature with awe or fear. He treats him like a friend. This shows Jake's ability to see the person behind their power. Prismo responds to this with warmth because Jake's acceptance carries no expectation. It allows their bond to feel relaxed in a space where very little is relaxing. Jake's emotional instincts also shape the way he handles conflict between people. When two individuals argue, Jake rarely chooses a side immediately. He takes the time to listen to each perspective. He knows that frustration often hides deeper feelings, and he tries to understand those feelings before reacting. His ability to empathize does not come from complexity in his speech. It comes from his ability to stay centered. Jake carries calmness the way others carry weapons. It is his tool for survival, and it becomes the tool that helps those around him survive their emotional storms. There is another layer beneath all this. Jake's gentle nature does not mean he is always at peace. He has moments of fear, denial, and avoidance that reveal the tension under his calm exterior. When situations push him too far, he sometimes tries to hide behind humor or distraction. He does this not out of selfishness, but out of a desire to keep others from worrying. Jake knows how sensitive Finn is to emotional imbalance. He knows that his children look to him for security. He knows that Lady Rainicorn sees him as a partner who understands her without needing words. Jake feels the weight of these expectations, and sometimes he carries it quietly rather than showing that he struggles. This pressure becomes most visible when he confronts the truth of his origins. The revelation that Warren Ampersand stands at the center of his biological identity shakes him in ways that are not immediately obvious. Jake tries to appear casual, but there is an underlying exhaustion in his reactions. He sees that Warren wants to shape him into something cold, selfish, and calculating. Jake rejects this without hesitation, yet he also feels the emotional cost of carrying that legacy. The knowledge of where he comes from weighs on him, even if he does not discuss it. His refusal to follow Warren is not a loud declaration. It is a quiet act of self-definition. Jake chooses to be someone his loved ones can depend on. This is not a performance. It is a deliberate path. His inner compass extends to his children as well. Jake loves them deeply, but he does not try to become the strict parent that Joshua was for him. He does not try to shape them into a particular vision. He observes each child and adapts to their personalities. This is where Jake's empathy becomes most transparent. He treats each child according to what they need, instead of treating them as a group. Some children inherit more dog-like traits, others more Rainicorn elements. Jake embraces every difference without letting any of them feel out of place. His acceptance is total. It shows that his understanding of people works even in the chaos of parenthood. His relationship with Lady Rainicorn further reveals his emotional adaptability. Even though they speak different languages, Jake understands her tone, her gestures, and her mood. Lady Rainicorn understands him just as well. Their bond grows from mutual respect and shared experiences, but it also grows from their ability to read each other without words. Jake's inner compass guides him through the parts of their relationship where cultural differences appear. He does not try to overshadow her traditions. He does not expect her to step away from her heritage. He allows their lives to blend naturally. This acceptance becomes one of the foundations of their long-lasting partnership. Jake's emotional awareness shows itself even in his interactions with beings who seem beyond empathy. His encounters with cosmic forces, distant realities, and the strangeness of alternate lives reveal that Jake understands emotional truth across dimensions. When he sees versions of himself in different contexts, he does not react with fear or denial. He considers what these possibilities say about him. Instead of seeing them as threats, he sees them as reflections of paths he might have taken. This shows a quiet maturity that contrasts with his relaxed behavior. Jake's calm does not mean he refuses to grow. It means he grows without turning growth into something dramatic. One of his deepest qualities is his understanding of loss. Jake experiences grief in ways he rarely verbalizes. When someone he cares about suffers, he absorbs their pain and tries to transform it into comfort. This instinct is not always healthy for him, because it leads him to bottle up his own sadness, yet it comes from a place of love. Jake wants others to feel safe. He wants them to feel secure. His instinct is to take the heavy emotions into himself so that others can breathe more easily. This choice is subtle, but it is one of the clearest signs of his hidden depth. Jake does not avoid heavy emotions because he is careless. He avoids them because he wants to protect others from the weight he knows they cannot carry alone. When he laughs in frightening situations, it is often because he senses fear in the people beside him. His laughter is not escapism. It is medicine. He lightens the room so that others can remain steady. Jake's emotional strength does not give him immunity from self-doubt. There are moments when he questions his choices, his responsibilities, and even his place in the bronze lives of his loved ones. These thoughts come quietly. They do not erupt into long confessions. Instead, they linger in his silence, in the way he looks at his family when they are not watching, in the small sighs he lets out before shifting back into his calm posture. Jake feels deeply. He simply chooses to carry his emotions in a way that minimizes harm to others. His inner compass guides him toward kindness even when no one sees it. Jake offers small acts of care that go unnoticed by most. He checks on Finn during difficult nights. He brings comfort to Lady Rainicorn when she feels overwhelmed. He gives his children gentle advice that helps them discover who they want to be. He speaks to Marceline without judgment when her past resurfaces. These actions are not dramatic, but they form the core of Jake's character. They show that his depth lies not in complexity, but in consistency. Jake's understanding of people continues to grow throughout his life. He witnesses the changes in the shifts in the lives of his friends, and the evolution of his own family. Through it all, he remains a steady presence. His calm is not a disguise. It is the result of a lifetime of choosing empathy over fear, acceptance over control, connection over isolation. Jake's hidden depth is woven into the fabric of who he is, revealed not through grand speeches, but through countless quiet moments that shape the emotional landscape of Ooh. Jake the dog lives in a world filled with peril, magic, and uncertainty. Yet he approaches morality with a softness that rarely calls attention to itself. His moral compass is not built on rules imposed from above. It is formed through lived experience, through watching others struggle, and through recognizing that every being in Ooh carries their own history. Jake observes these histories with patience. He allows people to be imperfect. He allows them to change. He allows them to surprise him. In this gentle allowance, his personal ethics emerge. At first glance, Jake seems relaxed to the point of indifference. He naps in dangerous places. He jokes in moments of crisis. He shrugs at concerns that others treat with utmost seriousness. This behavior can be misunderstood as apathy. In truth, Jake understands that fear and panic rarely solve a problem. He also understands that many threats in Ooh become worse when met with aggression. His relaxed posture is a strategic one. It disarms tension. It invites calm where chaos threatens to grow. Jake approaches moral decisions with quiet intuition. He does not debate philosophical questions out loud. He does not lecture. Instead, he considers how his choices affect the people he loves. If an action places Finn in emotional danger, Jake hesitates. If a decision threatens Lady Rainicorn or their children, he reconsiders. His ethics are relational. They grow from his bonds. This does not mean he only cares about those close to him. Rather, those relationships shape the way he understands all lives. This relational ethics becomes clear when Jake interacts with beings who fall into moral grey areas. Some creatures in Ooh act out of confusion rather than malice. Jake sees this and responds accordingly. He does not rush to judgment. His first instinct is to understand. If someone lashes out because they are scared, he tries to ease their fear. If someone behaves strangely, he gives them room to express themselves. Jake's moral clarity comes not from strict definitions of right and wrong, but from compassion. He believes that kindness uncovers truth faster than interrogation. Jake's approach to morality is also shaped by his awareness of his own potential for harm. His powers give him enormous strength. If he wished, he could be a terrifying force. Yet he avoids using his abilities in ways that overwhelm others. His restraint is deliberate. He knows that strength used recklessly creates fear. He knows that fear creates cycles of hurt. Jake avoids this cycle. He chooses to be soft even when he could be sharp. His moral beliefs are tested most strongly in his connection to Warren Ampersand. When Jake learns the truth about his origins, he faces an internal conflict that challenges the foundation of his identity. Warren expects Jake to behave with selfishness. He expects Jake to adopt a worldview centered solely on personal gain. Jake recognizes the emptiness of this perspective immediately. He sees the damage Warren causes, and he understands that power without care leads to isolation. Jake rejects Warren not out of rebellion, but out of moral clarity. He sees that love carries more meaning than self-preservation. This realization guides him long after the confrontation ends. Another dimension of Jake's ethics appears in his life with Finn. He believes in letting Finn grow at his own pace. Jake rarely tells Finn what to do. Instead, he offers gentle suggestions and allows Finn to navigate his own path. This patience defines Jake's moral approach to mentorship. He does not attempt to protect Finn from every hardship. He knows that real growth comes from facing challenges. What he does offer is emotional stability. Jake's role is not to shield Finn from the world, it is to make sure Finn never faces that world alone. One of the most revealing aspects of Jake's morality is his capacity to forgive. He forgives quickly, but not blindly. His forgiveness comes from understanding. When someone admits their harm or shows signs of change, Jake adjusts himself to allow them a chance to grow. He believes that holding on to bitterness weighs down the heart. Jake prefers freedom, not only physically, but emotionally. This freedom allows him to let go of anger sooner than most. Jake's moral nature also informs his approach to conflict resolution. He often searches for solutions that minimize harm. If there is a way to distract a threat rather than destroy it, he considers that option. If there is a way to talk through tension rather than escalate it, he takes that path. This does not mean Jake avoids action. When a situation reaches a point where safety is at risk, he moves decisively. Yet he always tries to walk the gentlest path before resorting to force. His moral strength lies not in avoiding conflict, but in choosing compassion even during conflict. These choices shape how Jake interacts with the most powerful figures in OO. When dealing with beings like Princess Bubblegum or Marceline, Jake recognizes the weight of their histories. He does not hold them to impossible standards. He understands that people in positions of power or with long pasts often carry unresolved pain. Instead of challenging them aggressively, he offers stability. He approaches their complexity with acceptance, allowing their moral struggles to unfold without pressure. Jake's morality is also seen in his respect for life, even when that life seems small or strange. He shows kindness toward creatures that others might dismiss as dangerous or unpleasant. He offers compassion to beings whose motives are unclear. These interactions reveal that Jake's ethics extend beyond his relationships. His moral instinct sees value in every life, regardless of appearance or history. Jake's internal sense of right and wrong is not shaped by fear of punishment. It is shaped by the desire for harmony. He carries a worldview where every action ripples outward. He considers the consequences of his behavior, not through calculation, but through empathy. This perspective makes him one of the most quietly moral characters in OO. His moral development is also influenced by the passage of time. As he grows older, his understanding of responsibility deepens. Becoming a father forces him to confront the long-term consequences of his actions. He becomes more mindful. He becomes more observant. He becomes more stable. His morality matures alongside his emotional depth. Jake also shows moral sensitivity in moments when others expect him to be complacent. When friends face dilemmas that challenge their identity, Jake does not treat these moments lightly. He pays attention to how they feel. He encourages self-reflection. When Finn goes through heartbreak, Jake does not dismiss the pain with jokes. He gives Finn room to feel. This respect for emotional truth reflects Jake's moral understanding of human experience. There is an important connection between Jake's morality and his shape-shifting. His body changes constantly, yet his heart remains steady. This reflects an internal discipline. Jake's physical form can expand, shrink, twist, and transform, but his moral center does not bend towards selfishness. This stability keeps him from being swept away by the potential corruption of his powers. Where Warren Ampersand uses shape-shifting as a tool for exploitation, Jake uses it for protection. The contrast highlights Jake's conscious moral choice. He chooses to use his abilities for care rather than control. Jake also displays humility in situations where he could use his powers to assert dominance. Even when others praise him, He responds with modesty. He does not seek recognition for his sacrifices. He does not measure his value through praise or authority. Jake's moral character is defined by quietness. He does good because it feels right, not because it earns approval. This humility strengthens his relationships. People trust Jake because his kindness carries no hidden motives. He offers support freely. He shares joy without expectation. He becomes a spiritual center for his loved ones, even though he never claims that role. This trust forms the foundation of his moral influence in U. Jake's morality shines brightest in the way he handles regret. When he makes mistakes, he does not run from them. He reflects, he corrects his course. He does not dwell or punish himself. Instead, he uses regret as a guide. Jake understands that moral growth depends on recognizing one's failings and choosing better paths. This self-awareness makes him a gentle figure to those around him. He becomes someone they can rely on, not because he is flawless, but because he grows. His moral structure does not follow strict commandments. It follows the shape of his heart. Jake values harmony, love, and peace. He believes in second chances. He believes in joy as a form of healing. He believes in patience as a form of respect. These beliefs guide him through the conflicts, losses, and uncertainties that define life in U. Jake's quiet morality becomes the invisible thread that binds his relationships. It keeps his family united. It keeps Finn strong. It keeps Lady Rainicorn safe. It keeps his children secure. It keeps his friendships deep. He does not preach his values, he lives them. The consistency of these choices reveals a hidden depth that rests at the core of his character. Jake's morality is not loud, it is steady, it is compassionate. It is rooted in love for the people and the world around him. Jake the dog moves through life with ease, yet beneath his relaxed smile lives a range of vulnerabilities he seldom allows others to see. These vulnerabilities do not weaken him. They reveal the emotional weight he carries in silence. Jake rarely shows this side of himself because he believes that his role in the lives of those around him is to soothe, to lighten, and to stabilize. When he hides his pain, it is not out of shame, it is out of love. He does not want his internal storms to touch the people he protects. Understanding his vulnerabilities requires stepping away from his outward calm and observing the quiet patterns in his behavior. Jake tempers his reactions, but even small choices carry meaning. When he avoids certain conversations, that avoidance speaks. When he turns a serious moment into a joke, that humor masks something deeper. When he sighs softly and quickly straightens his posture, that momentary sadness reveals the emotional threads he rarely speaks of. The first vulnerability in Jake's life roots itself in his childhood. He grew up in a home filled with adventure, danger, and expectation. Joshua and Margaret loved their sons, but they were also figures who followed strict ideals. They faced threats without hesitation. They protected U with intensity. Jake saw this strength and respected it, but he also felt the pressure it created. He learned early that showing weakness could disrupt the fragile balance of their family. Their home was built on stability, so Jake became the child who created that stability through humor. This habit followed him into adulthood. Jake believes that if he stays light-hearted, chaos will not overwhelm the people he loves. Yet this belief carries a vulnerability of its own. When he feels scared or sad, he does not know how to express those emotions without worrying that it might burden someone else. He chooses silence, often because he fears that revealing too much would change the way others see him. Jake's relationship with Jermaine adds another layer to this quiet struggle. He loves his brother deeply, but he also carries guilt. Jermaine took on many responsibilities that Jake did not. Jermaine became the caretaker of their parents' affairs. He remained grounded, while Jake pursued a life of adventure. Jake never intended to place more weight on Jermaine's shoulders, but he feels the impact of that imbalance. Whenever he visits Jermaine or thinks about him, there is a trace of regret beneath the surface. Jake wonders whether he should have done more, helped more, or stayed longer. He tries not to dwell on these thoughts, yet they settle in the corners of his mind. Another vulnerability appears in his connection to Finn. Jake is proud of the role he plays in Finn's life, but he fears failing him. He fears that one day Finn will need help he cannot give. This fear rarely shows itself openly. It slips out in subtle moments, when Jake becomes unusually quiet. He loves Finn, like a brother and a son at the same time. This combination creates a unique pressure. Jake wants to be someone Finn can always rely on. When Finn struggles, Jake feels the weight of that struggle echo inside him. He hides this emotional echo because he does not want Finn to feel responsible for it. Jake also carries vulnerability in his relationship with Lady Rainicorn. Their bond is strong and secure, but deep love always brings fear. Jake worries about disappointing her, or failing as a partner, or being unable to protect their family when it matters most. These concerns often rise during quiet nights when everyone is asleep. Jake lies awake and thinks about the future. He wonders whether he is strong enough for the life they have built together. He wonders whether his relaxed nature makes him appear careless, even though his love is serious and rooted. He does not express these fears because he believes Lady Rainicorn deserves someone steady, not someone tangled in worry. Another hidden vulnerability comes from the truth of his origins. Warren Ampersand becomes a symbol of everything Jake does not want to be. The knowledge that his biological father's intentions revolve around manipulation, selfishness, and control strikes Jake deeply. He wonders whether any part of Warren's nature lives inside him. He wonders whether his powers could influence him in ways he does not notice. These thoughts disturb him, and he quickly pushes them away, but the discomfort lingers. Jake fears the idea that he might disappoint his family by inheriting traits he despises. He tries to counter these fears through love, humor, and kindness. Yet the shadow of Warren's expectations follows him quietly. Jake has another vulnerability that few people recognize. He struggles with the passing of time. While he seems relaxed in every moment, he understands that life changes whether he is ready or not. His children grow quickly. Finn matures. Ooh evolves. Jake tries to embrace these changes, but they sometimes overwhelm him. He feels the distance between himself and earlier stages of life. He misses the simplicity of childhood with Finn. He misses the early days of adventure. He misses moments that slipped by quietly. When he reflects on time, he feels an ache he rarely voices. Despite his easygoing personality, Jake also experiences fear on a profound level. He hides this fear behind confidence, yet that confidence has cracks. Jake fears losing people far more than he fears physical danger. He fears the day when Finn no longer needs him. He fears the possibility of losing Lady Rainicorn. He fears the vulnerability that comes from loving his children so intensely. He even fears the idea of failing to understand his own purpose. These concerns shape many of his decisions. Jake chooses joy because it protects him from facing the deeper fears that sit beneath the surface. Jake's brushes with cosmic forces add an unexpected vulnerability. He interacts with beings like Prismo and enters spaces where time, existence, and identity lose their usual shape. In these moments, Jake feels small. Yet he hides that feeling because he does not want to diminish the experiences. He tells himself that these events are just part of the adventure. Yet he senses how fragile he truly is compared to the forces surrounding him. This awareness scares him, but he handles it with the same calm he uses in every challenge. Jake masks his metaphysical fear because he does not want to worry the people he cares about. Another vulnerability emerges from Jake's instinct to avoid conflict. While this instinct creates peace, it also means he sometimes suppresses his own needs. Jake puts others first so often that he forgets to prioritize himself. He avoids difficult conversations because he worries they might hurt someone. He sidesteps emotional tension because he fears that expressing his needs will cause imbalance. This avoidance creates tension within him. He becomes overwhelmed in moments when too many unspoken feelings pile up. Yet he still smiles because smiling feels safer. Jake also struggles with identity in subtle ways. He knows he is a dog, a father, a partner, a brother, an adventurer, and a friend. Yet he sometimes wonders which of these roles define him most deeply. He wonders if his laid-back style masks parts of himself that he does not fully understand. He wonders if his desire for comfort keeps him from exploring aspects of his identity that require effort or introspection. This uncertainty grows in quiet spaces when he finds himself alone. Jake rarely voices these questions, but they exist within him nonetheless. He is also vulnerable to guilt. When he makes mistakes, his guilt does not vanish quickly. He carries it until he feels that he has balanced it through kindness or action. This guilt appears even in small moments. If he forgets something important, he feels guilty. If he mishandles a situation, he feels guilty. If he unintentionally hurts someone he loves, he feels guilty. Jake hides this guilt behind his smile, but it influences his behavior long after others have forgotten the incident. Another vulnerability arises in moments of responsibility. Jake fears failing the people who depend on him. Even though he seems carefree, he understands that his choices influence the lives of many. His children rely on him. Finn looks to him for emotional guidance. Lady Rainicorn trusts him. Jermaine cares about him. These connections bring joy, but they also bring pressure. Jake worries that his relaxed nature might cause him to overlook something important. He works quietly to counter this fear by paying attention in his own subtle way. Yet the fear remains, soft but persistent. Despite these vulnerabilities, Jake does not collapse under their weight. He navigates them with grace. This resilience shows the depth of his inner world. He carries fear, guilt, regret, confusion, and emotional pressure, but he balances them with love. He understands that being vulnerable does not mean being weak. It means being human. It means caring enough that the possibility of loss hurts. Jake accepts this pain because he values the people in his life more than he fears the discomfort that comes with loving them. The hidden vulnerabilities Jake carries shape the quiet strength that defines him. They make his kindness more meaningful. They make his laughter more genuine. They make his loyalty more powerful. Jake's vulnerability is not something he avoids forever. It is something he learns to hold without letting it break him. His gentle nature does not erase his struggles. It transforms them. Jake uses his vulnerabilities as reminders of what matters most. He carries them softly. He carries them silently. He carries them because his heart is large enough to hold both joy and sorrow. This inner landscape, filled with love and fear in equal measure, reveals one of the richest layers of Jake's character. His depth does not come from secrets. It comes from the quiet way he manages the emotional storms inside him, while keeping warmth alive for everyone around him. His vulnerabilities stay hidden, not because he is afraid of judgment, but because he wants to protect the peace he gives to others. Jake is strongest in the moments when he stays gentle, despite everything he feels beneath the surface. Jake the dog is a creature who appears timeless. His body shifts, stretches, twists, and reshapes itself with ease. He can become enormous or tiny with a simple thought. He can fold himself into impossible shapes. He can glide through small spaces or expand to push aside boulders. At first glance, it seems that someone with such fluid form would have a flexible relationship with time. It would make sense to assume that someone who alters his physical nature without difficulty might view the world without concern for the passage of years. Yet, as Jake grows older, an unexpected truth emerges. Time affects him in quiet and complicated ways. He may look carefree, but the movement of life from one stage to another carries deep meaning for him. Jake spends much of his early life floating through days without worrying about the future. He loves the present moment. He enjoys meals, naps, and playful stretches. He reacts to danger as it comes instead of planning ahead. This present, focused mindset gives him joy, but it also creates distance between himself and the concept of aging. When he is young, time feels endless. His abilities make him feel unconstrained by the usual limits of the world. Yet slowly, the reality of changing life settles around him. The first major shift comes through Finn. Jake meets Finn when Finn is a small child, energetic and curious. Jake becomes a guide, a brother, and a companion through every stage of Finn's growth. He sees Finn learn to swing a sword, learn to solve conflicts with thought instead of instinct, and learn to experience love and heartbreak. Jake supports him through these transformations, but each transformation reminds Jake that time is moving whether he pays attention or not. Finn's growth is a living marker of change. With each passing year, Jake notices that Finn becomes taller, stronger, more reflective. Jake realizes that while he stays the same shape he has always been, Finn is walking forward on a path that does not stop. Watching Finn grow brings joy. Jake is proud of him. He admires Finn's heart, bravery, and emotional evolution. Yet, it also awakens a vulnerability Jake does not speak about. He senses the distance between them shifting. When Finn was small, Jake could guide every step. As Finn becomes older, Jake sees that his role changes. Finn needs him in new ways, softer ways, and sometimes in fewer ways. Jake never resents this. He celebrates it. But he feels the ache that comes with understanding that childhood does not last forever. He adjusts to this change with grace, yet it reminds him that time is real and cannot be slowed. Jake's children deepen his awareness of time. Rainicorn children grow rapidly, and Jake experiences parenthood in a way he did not expect. He watches his children move from infancy to self-sufficiency faster than he imagined possible. They speak, think, and dream with a maturity that arrives sooner than he is prepared for. Jake loves them with every fibre of his heart, yet he cannot escape the sense that time moves faster around them. Their accelerated growth becomes another reminder that every stage of life is temporary. Jake's gentle heart feels the weight of this. He cherishes every moment with them. He appreciates their unique personalities, their quirks, their curiosity, and their creative minds. Yet he sometimes looks at them and wonders whether he missed something. Not because he was absent, but because time itself slipped through his fingers. This thought causes a quiet unease. Jake understands that life is precious precisely because it changes, but he also fears losing the moments he treasures. This fear lingers in him, soft but persistent. His relationship with Lady Rainicorn also deepens his awareness of time. Their partnership is steady, loving, and patient. Yet they come from different heritages with different lifespans and different cultural expectations. Jake does not dwell on the future, but he understands that these differences exist. He respects Lady Rainicorn's traditions and embraces their blended family with pride, yet he occasionally wonders how their futures align. He does not express this concern openly because he does not want to create worry, but he carries it quietly. His love for her makes these questions difficult, but he chooses trust over fear. Jake's experiences in cosmic spaces bring another layer to his relationship with time. His bond with Prismo introduces him to realms where time behaves differently. The time room exists outside normal chronology, and Jake experiences it in ways that few others have. He sees glimpses of alternate paths, alternate selves, and alternate futures. These encounters shape his understanding of how wide and strange existence can be. Yet they also remind him that even with the infinite possibilities of the universe, the life he has in U is unique. No alternate path replaces the reality he shares with Finn, Lady Rainicorn, and his children. One of the most profound moments in Jake's journey is his encounter with the afterlife. Jake enters a realm where souls move in forms he does not fully understand. There he experiences peace, clarity, and a sense of belonging that is neither frightening nor overwhelming. This experience reshapes him. It shows him that death is not an abrupt end. It is a continuation, a shift into something gentle and expansive. After returning, Jake carries this knowledge quietly. It brings him comfort, but it also brings complexity. He knows that life is finite, yet he feels less afraid of its conclusion. He sees it as part of a larger process. This gives him calm, but it also deepens his emotional sensitivity. When he looks at the people he loves, he sees both their current selves and the future moments they have yet to experience. Jake's encounter with the afterlife also awakens a deeper awareness of his fatherhood. He wants his children to live meaningful lives, filled with joy and discovery. He wants them to understand that time does not need to be feared, yet he also worries that he cannot fully prepare them for life's uncertainties. This worry arises not because he doubts them, but because he understands how unpredictable the world can be. Jake hides these concerns under humour, but he feels them in moments of quiet reflection. Time also affects Jake through his relationships with old friends. He sees changes occur in Princess Bubblegum, Marceline, and countless others. He watches them face challenges, evolve, overcome old wounds, and grow into new versions of themselves. Jake respects these changes deeply, yet each transformation reminds him that nothing stays the same. This awareness is both beautiful and bittersweet. He celebrates the progress of those he cares about, but he also feels the emotional tug that comes with knowing that every era eventually becomes a memory. Jake's vulnerability to time becomes clearest in the way he handles transitions. When an adventure ends, Jake sometimes hesitates before moving on, not because he fears the next step, but because he wants to hold on to the feeling of togetherness. He savours the moments when Finn laughs with him, when Lady Rainicorn relaxes beside him, and when his children wrap around him with joy. These moments anchor him, and he tries to cling to them, even as life pulls forward. Jake does not resist change, but he tries to slow it in his heart. This sensitivity to time also shapes Jake's personal identity. He wonders occasionally whether he has done enough, lived enough, or appreciated enough. These thoughts arise not from insecurity, but from his understanding of impermanence. He wants to make sure that the people he loves feel valued. He wants them to feel supported, understood, and cherished. Jake measures success not through accomplishments, but through emotional presence. His vulnerability lies in the fear of leaving anything unsaid or unexpressed. Yet despite this fear, Jake approaches time with gratitude. He cherishes the early years of adventure with Finn. He cherishes the peaceful moments he shares with Lady Rainicorn. He cherishes the growth of his children and the friendships that thread through every corner of his life. Jake experiences time as something fragile and precious. He understands that life moves whether he pays attention or not, so he tries to meet each moment with warmth. Jake's hidden depth appears in the way he handles time with acceptance. He does not fight the changing world, he adapts. He allows himself to feel nostalgia, joy, worry, and hope all at once. He understands that these emotions coexist within him. This acceptance gives him strength. It allows him to remain gentle even when life brings sorrow. It allows him to smile through transitions that would overwhelm others. It allows him to face the future without becoming rigid. Jake's relationship with time reveals the heart that beats beneath his relaxed exterior. He understands that time shapes every bond, every memory, every lesson, and every love. He feels the weight of this truth, but he carries it with kindness. Jake does not fear time. He respects it. He honors it. He allows it to guide him toward deeper empathy and a more open heart. His hidden depth lies in his ability to embrace change while staying true to the warmth that defines him. Adventure is woven into the fabric of Jake's life. From the earliest days when he roamed the land with Finn, to the later years when he travelled with a more reflective heart, Jake's connection to adventure shapes him in ways that reach far beyond thrill-seeking. Adventure for Jake is not a distraction. It is a language. It is how he connects to the world, how he processes change, and how he maintains his bond with the people he loves. Jake approaches adventure differently from Finn. While Finn rushes toward danger with determination and a clear sense of purpose, Jake embraces the journey itself. For him, adventure is not defined by victory or defeat. It is defined by experience. He enjoys the unexpected paths, the strange encounters, the quiet pauses between excitement, and the simple joy of moving through with companions at his side. This mindset reveals something important about him. Jake values the emotional texture of the adventure more than its outcome. In many ways, Jake treats adventure as a mirror for life. He understands that the world is unpredictable. He knows that paths twist, change direction, or disappear entirely. He accepts that the future rarely goes as planned. Instead of resisting this unpredictability, Jake flows with it. His approach is rooted in trust. He trusts himself to adapt. He trusts his friends to find solutions. He trusts the world to reveal its meaning through experience rather than control. This trust gives him peace even when situations appear chaotic. His connection to adventure is also tied to his deep need for companionship. Jake treasures the memories he collects with the people he loves. When he travels with Finn, he sees every journey as a shared chapter in their story. The battles, jokes, discoveries, and quiet moments all become threads in the fabric of their bond. Jake is aware that life moves quickly, and each adventure becomes a way to pause time for a moment. He knows that when he looks back, he will not to remember the danger, but the feeling of being together. This emotional connection becomes clearer when Jake engages in adventures that have no purpose beyond joy. He enjoys wandering with no destination. He enjoys exploring small corners of that others overlook. He finds comfort in the simple act of walking beside another person. Jake understands that adventure does not need to be monumental to be meaningful. A small detour, a conversation during a journey, or an unexpected discovery can hold as much emotional weight as any heroic battle. Jake's bond with adventure is also shaped by his playful nature. He sees the world with imagination. He turns obstacles into games and challenges into puzzles. This playful mindset is not careless. It is a way of keeping fear from overshadowing the present moment. Jake uses joy as a tool to soften the sharp edges of danger. When situations grow tense, he introduces levity because he knows it helps others stay calm. His humor becomes a way to guide the mood of the adventure, allowing everyone to move forward with clarity. This is one of the reasons Finn relies on Jake so deeply. Jake transforms frightening moments into manageable ones. He creates an atmosphere where Finn can breathe, think, and continue. Their adventures become more than quests. They become emotional journeys grounded by Jake's steady presence. Jake does not position himself as the leader, yet his influence shapes the tone of every adventure they share. Adventure also gives Jake a sense of identity. Despite his relaxed lifestyle, he feels a quiet pull toward movement. Staying still for too long makes him restless. He enjoys comfort, but he also thrives in motion. This restlessness comes from his understanding that life is full of experiences waiting to be lived. Jake does not seek adrenaline, he seeks connection. Every adventure introduces new faces, new lessons, and new memories. These experiences help him grow emotionally, even when he does not realize it. Another layer of Jake's bond with adventure comes from his shape-shifting. His abilities allow him to interact with the world in ways others cannot. He stretches over mountains, squeezes through tight caves, becomes a raft, a bridge, a shield, or a parachute. His body adapts to every need, turning adventure into something fluid and intuitive. This physical freedom shapes his worldview. Jake sees the world as something flexible because he himself is flexible. This perspective influences how he approaches emotional challenges too. If a problem is uncomfortable, he adjusts. If a situation requires patience, he expands his capacity for it. His powers teach him that solutions often lie in adaptation rather than resistance. Jake's relationship with adventure deepens further through his encounters with cosmic forces. Traveling through realms that operate outside normal rules exposes him to possibilities beyond imagination. These experiences do not change his personality. Instead, they enrich it. Jake learns that adventure exists on every scale, from the vastness of cosmic time to the smallness of a quiet moment with a friend. He begins to understand that meaning is not found only in grand events. It appears in the spaces between them. Yet adventure also reveals Jake's vulnerabilities. While he enjoys the journey, he sometimes fears losing the stability he holds dear. He knows that every adventure comes with risk, and he occasionally worries about the people who walk beside him. Jake hides these worries beneath humor, but he feels them deeply. When Finn rushes forward without hesitation, Jake senses the danger before anyone else. His heart tightens for a moment. Then he follows with trust. This internal tension is a part of his emotional depth. Adventure brings joy, but it also brings fear, and Jake carries both feelings with equal humility. Jake also experiences moments of doubt within adventure. When things grow overwhelming, he occasionally questions whether he has the strength to navigate them. This doubt rarely shows externally. Jake keeps it quiet because he does not want to disrupt the confidence of others. He processes the moment internally, then continues moving forward. These small internal battles reveal that Jake's courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to act despite that fear. Adventure gives Jake clarity about who he is. Through wandering, he discovers his priorities, his values, and his emotional limits. He learns what he is willing to fight for and what he is willing to let go. He learns which relationships anchor him and which challenges shape him. Every journey becomes a gentle form of self-discovery. Jake does not seek self-understanding through deep introspection. He finds it through living. As he grows older, Jake's approach to adventure changes. He becomes more reflective. He still embraces fun, but he also appreciates quiet. He enjoys peaceful walks with Lady Rainicorn and relaxed outings with his children. He does not need danger to feel alive. He needs connection. Adventure shifts from external excitement to internal meaning. He begins to treasure the emotional journeys as much as the physical ones. Jake also becomes aware that adventure has woven itself into the identity of his family. His children inherit pieces of his curiosity. They explore the world with the same blend of wonder and confidence that he once did. Watching them adventure on their own fills Jake with pride, but also with quiet anxiety. He knows the world can be unpredictable, yet he trusts them just as he trusts himself. This trust eases his fears, even though he never stops worrying completely. Jake's bond with adventure becomes one of the most important parts of his hidden depth. It shows that he experiences the world with sensitivity and openness. Adventure is how he processes emotion, strengthens relationships, and finds meaning in life's constant movement. It keeps him grounded even when life becomes overwhelming. It gives him direction without confining him to a rigid path. In the end, Jake's connection to adventure reflects the heart of who he is. He seeks joy not as a distraction, but as a way to create emotional clarity. He takes risks not for glory, but for companionship. He explores not to conquer the world, but to experience it alongside the people he loves. Every adventure reveals another layer of his gentle soul. Every path he walks becomes a reflection of his compassion, humor, vulnerability, and wisdom. Jake's depth lies in the simple truth that he treasures the journey as much as the destination, and through that journey he reveals the quiet strength that defines him. Jake the dog builds his life on two powerful impulses. One is freedom, the other is responsibility. At first glance, these impulses seem to compete, yet within Jake they intertwine. His personality flows like water, shifting between these two forces without rigid structure. This flexibility is part of his hidden depth. Jake seeks freedom because it gives him joy, but he embraces responsibility because it gives him meaning. His entire emotional landscape rests on the balance he quietly maintains between these two sides of himself. Jake's love for freedom appears early in life. He is drawn to open skies, strange lands, and wandering paths that offer surprise at every step. He enjoys waking up without a plan and discovering what the day will bring. This is not simply laziness, it is a philosophy. Jake believes that life reveals its truth through openness rather than control. He trusts the world to guide him. He trusts himself to adapt. This trust becomes his anchor. Freedom also shapes the way Jake uses his powers. His shapeshifting is an expression of liberation. He allows his imagination to dictate his form. If he wants to glide across the landscape, he becomes a vehicle. If he wants to tower above trees, he stretches upward. If he wants to curl into a comfortable shape, he shrinks into softness. His body mirrors his mind. Both move without restriction. This sense of physical liberation influences his emotional life too. Jake avoids rigid thinking, not because he is careless, but because he believes flexibility brings peace. Yet beneath this love for freedom lives a deep, unwavering sense of responsibility. Jake cares intensely for the people around him. He carries their emotions with sincerity. He supports them through difficulty. He takes on burdens quietly when he believes others cannot carry them alone. For Jake, responsibility is not a duty forced upon him. It is an instinct shaped by love. He shows up for his loved ones not because he is expected to, but because he wants to. Jake's bond with Finn reflects this balance clearly. When Jake adventured with Finn as a child, he embraced the thrill of exploration, yet he also watched over Finn with vigilance. He allowed room for freedom, but he never let danger slip beyond control. Jake encouraged Finn to grow and explore, but he always remained close enough to steady him when emotional storms rose. His guidance never came with pressure. It came with warmth. Jake balanced the freedom Finn needed with the safety he deserved. As Finn grew older, Jake's sense of responsibility shifted. He understood that Finn no longer needed constant protection. He respected Finn's independence and allowed their dynamic to evolve. Yet he remained a supportive presence, stepping in only when emotional or ethical guidance was necessary. Jake's responsibility did not weaken as Finn matured. It changed shape. Jake adapted to Finn's growth without losing the emotional core of their bond. Jake's relationship with Lady Rainicorn also reflects this balance. He values the freedom to express himself without restraint, yet he respects their partnership with devotion. Jake never sees commitment as a cage. He sees it as a space for emotional grounding. When he is with Lady Rainicorn, he feels the comfort of stability. When he is away, he feels the thrill of adventure. This equilibrium allows their love to remain steady through shifting circumstances. Jake's loyalty remains strong, even though he continues to live with spontaneity. He blends freedom and commitment into a single seamless way of being. Fatherhood deepens this balance in unexpected ways. When Jake becomes a parent, the weight of responsibility increases. His children rely on him for comfort, wisdom, and protection. Their rapid growth creates challenges he never anticipated. Yet Jake adapts without panic. He discovers that responsibility brings joy when rooted in love. He enjoys teaching his children about the world. He finds meaning in guiding them toward independence. His sense of freedom shifts into a more reflective mode. He still values movement and adventure, but he also values the quiet moments shared with his children. His responsibilities do not restrict him. They shape him into someone wiser. Jake's relationship to responsibility also forms through his ties to Jermaine. Jake admires Jermaine's dedication to their family history. He recognizes the importance of Jermaine's sacrifices. Yet he also knows that he himself is not shaped for that life. Jake feels guilt about this at times, but he also understands that responsibility does not look the same for everyone. Jake's task is not to replicate Jermaine's path. His task is to support Jermaine emotionally, respect his choices, and maintain their bond. Jake's understanding of responsibility grows from empathy rather than obligation. Another important aspect of Jake's balance emerges in his approach to conflict. Jake rarely seeks confrontation. He prefers solutions that restore harmony rather than create division. He enjoys the freedom of peaceful living, yet he never refuses responsibility when danger threatens others. When situations escalate, Jake steps forward. He uses his powers to defend, shield, and protect. He acts decisively when needed, not because he enjoys fighting, but because he understands that responsibility sometimes requires strength. Jake's encounters with cosmic forces test this balance further. Through his interactions with beings like Prismo, Jake experiences freedom on a cosmic scale. He sees realities stretch into infinite possibilities. He experiences timelines that feel detached from emotion. Yet even in these vast spaces, Jake remains anchored to the people he loves. Cosmic freedom never tempts him away from his responsibilities in U. He values the infinite, but he chooses the finite. He chooses family, friendship, and loyalty over the boundlessness of cosmic potential. This choice reflects a deep truth in Jake's character. Freedom brings him joy, but responsibility gives him purpose. Jake also finds balance through introspection, even if he does not often articulate his thoughts. He reflects on his life during quiet moments. He considers how his choices affect others. He thinks about the future of his children. He thinks about Finn's emotional journey. He thinks about the stability of his relationship with Lady Rainicorn. These reflections reveal that Jake does not treat responsibility as an afterthought. He sees it as a natural and important part of living. Yet Jake never loses his playful spirit. His freedom remains intact even when he carries serious responsibilities. This is one of his most impressive qualities. He holds love and duty without allowing them to dim his joy. He continues to laugh, explore, imagine, and relax. He proves that maturity does not require the loss of wonder. Responsibility does not erase fun. Jake embodies the idea that a person can care deeply without losing the lightness that brings colour to life. This balance becomes one of the pillars of his hidden depth. Jake understands that life is full of contradictions. People need structure, yet they also need space. They need commitment, yet they also need movement. He lives within these contradictions without conflict. He flows between them as naturally as he changes shape. This internal harmony allows him to guide others with wisdom that rarely announces itself. Jake does not preach balance, he lives it. His choices show that true stability comes not from rigidity, but from gentle adaptability. Jake's ability to hold freedom and responsibility together becomes a quiet gift to those around him. Finn learns from Jake that responsibility does not have to feel heavy. Lady Rainicorn sees that partnership can coexist with personal independence. His children learn that a loving parent can still be playful. Jermaine sees that lives can take different paths without losing connection. Even cosmic beings recognize that Jake's emotional balance allows him to move through their realms without losing himself. Jake's hidden depth lies in this equilibrium. He has the heart of a wanderer and the devotion of a guardian. He thrives in motion, but he stays grounded in love. His choices reflect an understanding of life that blends joy with commitment. He teaches others that freedom is richer when rooted in care, and responsibility is lighter when held with warmth. Jake's balance between these two forces forms the quiet foundation of his character, shaping the way he lives, loves, and grows. Jake the dog rarely presents himself as wise. He prefers jokes, warmth, and ease. He speaks in simple phrases. He avoids grand declarations. He acts as if he learns from instinct instead of reflection. Yet beneath this relaxed surface lies a deep, intuitive wisdom that shapes nearly every connection he forms. Jake understands people in ways they do not always understand themselves. His wisdom is not loud or dramatic. It is quiet, observant, and shaped by years of watching the hearts of others beat under the weight of their own stories. Jake's wisdom begins with his ability to notice small things. He pays attention to tone, posture, tiny shifts in expression, and the emotional energy someone brings into a room. When Finn enters a space with tension in his shoulders, Jake senses it. When Lady Rainicorn speaks with a slightly different rhythm, Jake understands she is troubled. When Marceline hides loneliness under jokes, Jake sees the shadow behind the humor. His awareness is not analytical. It is intuitive, like a gentle breeze that knows how to move around obstacles without breaking them. This emotional awareness gives Jake a form of wisdom that feels effortless. He does not talk about what he knows. He simply uses that knowledge to guide his responses. When someone needs silence, he stays quiet. When someone needs comfort, he sits close. When someone needs laughter, he finds a joke. This adaptability comes from a deep understanding of emotional nuance. Jake knows that hearts move with different rhythms, and he adjusts his presence to match them. One of the clearest examples of Jake's wisdom appears in the way he guides Finn through emotional challenges. Finn often feels things intensely. His heart is powerful and open, but it can overwhelm him. Jake recognizes this. When Finn spirals, Jake grounds him gently. He does not dismiss Finn's feelings. He redirects them. He reframes the situation in a way that Finn can understand without feeling judged. This kind of emotional guidance requires more than intuition. It requires wisdom gained through experience, love, and patience. Jake's wisdom also reveals itself in his timing. He knows when to speak and when to hold back. He knows that some lessons must be learned through experience. He never forces advice. He offers it like a soft suggestion, something Finn can pick up or leave behind. Jake understands that true guidance respects the learner's autonomy. He encourages Finn to discover the world with his own eyes, yet he remains a steady lighthouse when Finn loses his way. Jake's quiet insight extends to characters who guard their emotions behind walls. Marceline is one example. She carries centuries of history, heartbreak, and solitude. Many people find her difficult to understand, not because she is unkind, but because she has learned to protect herself. Jake senses the layers beneath her behavior. He knows when her teasing hides affection, when her silence hides pain, and when her laughter hides memories she cannot easily face. He respects these layers. Jake never forces Marceline to reveal more than she wants to. His wisdom recognizes that healing grows in gentle spaces, not pressure. Princess Bubblegum presents another challenge that Jake understands with subtle grace. PB carries responsibility heavier than most rulers. Her mind is scientific, strategic, and constantly calculating. Yet Jake sees the vulnerability she hides behind intellect and authority. He never tries to outthink her, nor does he try to advise her through logic. Instead, he offers emotional grounding. When PB becomes overwhelmed, Jake behaves in ways that bring balance to her energy. His wisdom tells him that she does not need solutions in those moments. She needs calm. She needs presence. She needs the reassurance of someone who sees her as more than a leader. Jake's quiet wisdom also shapes his relationship with his children. He does not impose strict lessons. Instead, he observes each child carefully. He recognizes their individual personalities and adjusts his approach. Some children need structure, others need freedom, some need reassurance, others thrive on independence. Jake's wisdom lies in knowing that parenthood is not one size fits all. He lets each child unfold naturally, guiding them with soft hands rather than strong commands. This understanding deepens as he watches his children grow rapidly. Their quick development could easily overwhelm a parent, yet Jake handles it with remarkable grace. He acknowledges the fleeting nature of each stage without clinging to it. His wisdom accepts that growth cannot be slowed. Instead, he cherishes each moment fully, allowing his children to shape their identities without interference. This acceptance reflects a mature heart that values presence over control. Another part of Jake's wisdom comes from his connection to the natural world of U. Jake respects the strange and unfamiliar. He approaches unusual creatures with curiosity rather than fear. This open-mindedness allows him to see beauty where others see danger. He understands that every being, no matter how odd or intimidating, carries a story. Jake listens to those stories, even when they are told through behavior rather than words. His empathy for creatures who lack clear communication reflects a wisdom rooted in compassion. Jake's cosmic experiences add another layer to this wisdom. His time with Prismo exposes him to realms where emotion and purpose take different shapes. Jake learns that existence is wider than he imagined. Yet instead of losing himself in this vastness, he uses the experience to deepen his appreciation for the small moments of life. He understands that the universe is grand, but intimacy, friendship, and a good meal hold, meaning that cosmic wonders cannot replace. This balance between cosmic perspective and simple joy forms one of the most profound aspects of his wisdom. Jake's wisdom also appears in his acceptance of imperfection. He understands that everyone carries flaws. He accepts his own with humility. He accepts the flaws of others with patience. He never demands perfection from the people he loves. Instead, he celebrates their strengths and supports their weaknesses. This unconditional acceptance creates a safe environment for growth. Jake's wisdom teaches that love does not require perfection. It requires understanding. Jake also has a unique understanding of regret. He knows that mistakes are part of life. When he makes a wrong choice, he does not punish himself endlessly. He recognizes the harm, corrects his behavior, and moves forward with renewed clarity. This ability to forgive himself allows him to forgive others. His wisdom teaches him that bitterness weighs down the heart, while forgiveness sets it free. Another part of his wisdom lies in how he handles change. Jake understands that nothing stays the same. People evolve. Relationships shift. Life moves through different stages. Jake approaches these changes with acceptance rather than resistance. He understands that trying to hold on to the past prevents growth. His wisdom teaches him to embrace each new chapter with openness, even when it brings uncertainty. Jake's wisdom is not rooted in intellectual complexity. It is rooted in emotional simplicity. He listens when others speak. He observes without judgment. He adapts without fear. He comforts without hesitation. These qualities form a foundation of understanding that runs deeper than many realize. Jake's wisdom is the kind that enters a room quietly, settles into the background, and supports everyone without calling attention to itself. Through this wisdom, Jake becomes the emotional center of his circle. People trust him not because he is flawless, but because he understands them. His presence offers clarity. His intuition offers stability. His kindness offers safe passage through emotional storms. Jake does not need to speak profound words to be wise. His wisdom lives in his actions, his choices, and the way he treats the hearts of others with care. This quiet and steady wisdom forms one of the core elements of Jake's hidden depth. It makes him a guide, a friend, a partner, a father, and a companion, whose value reaches far beyond his playful nature. Jake understands life not through rigid beliefs, but through a heart that listens deeply. His wisdom rests in the space between thought and feeling, where compassion leads and judgment falls away. Jake the dog appears fearless to most who meet him. He laughs in the face of danger. He shifts into enormous forms when threats appear. He stands beside Finn, without hesitation, no matter how strange or frightening the situation becomes. Yet Jake's courage does not come from the absence of fear. It comes from a quiet, steady internal strength that grows from understanding what fear truly is. Jake does not defeat fear by overpowering it. He learns to move with it, listen to it, and soften its edges until it becomes something manageable. His relationship with fear reveals another layer of his hidden depth. Jake's earliest experiences shaped his understanding of fear. Growing up in a home with Joshua and Margaret meant living with constant tension. His parents were protectors who faced danger with fierce determination. Jake admired this strength, but he also felt the intensity that filled their household. He learned that fear could be loud or quiet or disguised as responsibility. Rather than resisting these experiences, Jake absorbed them. He developed a subtle awareness of fear's presence, even when no one else acknowledged it. From a young age, he sensed that fear is not an enemy, but a companion that reveals what matters most. Jake hides his fear, not because he wants to be strong, but because he wants others to feel safe. When Finn is afraid, Jake's first instinct is to bring calm. When Lady Rainicorn worries, he eases her concerns with humour and closeness. When his children feel uncertain, he creates warmth to keep them grounded. Jake moves fear away from others by drawing it quietly into himself. This instinct becomes both a strength and a vulnerability. It makes him a source of comfort, yet it also means he rarely expresses his own fear openly. Jake's fear often surfaces in moments connected to the people he loves. He fears losing those bonds more than he fears physical danger. When Finn rushes toward a challenge without thinking, Jake feels a tightening in his chest. He jokes to mask it, but the fear remains. When Lady Rainicorn takes risks in her own adventures, Jake hides his anxiety beneath relaxed words. When his children grow quickly and begin exploring on their own, Jake's heart fills with protective worry. This fear does not shrink his love, it deepens it. Jake fears losing these connections because they form the core of his life. His fear becomes even more complex after learning about his connection to Warren Ampersand. The discovery that his biological origins lie in manipulation and selfish purpose creates a sharp internal tension. Jake fears that he might carry traits he does not want. He fears the possibility that something inside him could harm the people he loves. This fear rarely surfaces in his outward expression, but it echoes quietly in moments when he thinks about his family. His decision to reject Warren's influence is not simply a moral stance, it is an act of courage shaped by the fear of becoming someone he is not. Jake's relationship with fear also appears during cosmic experiences. When he interacts with Prismo or journeys into realms where reality behaves differently, he faces situations that could easily overwhelm most individuals. Jake masks his fear behind humour, but inside he senses the strangeness of these spaces. He feels the smallness of his own existence when confronted with cosmic forces, yet he continues forward. His courage lies not in ignoring the magnitude of these realms, it lies in accepting the uncertainty they bring. Fear shows itself in Jake's silence more often than in his words. When he pauses before answering a difficult question, that pause carries emotion. When he looks off into the distance after a challenging moment, that look reveals a concern he chooses not to express. When he steps closer to Finn during emotional tension, that closeness comes from fear of losing connection. Jake communicates his fear through gentle behaviours rather than open confession. Jake's courage becomes most visible in the ways he protects others without drawing attention to the protection. He shields Finn from emotional extremes. He supports Marceline when she experiences echoes of her past. He stands by Princess Bubblegum during moments of crisis. He holds his children with tenderness when they feel unsettled. None of these actions appear heroic on the surface, yet each is a quiet act of bravery. Jake faces the emotional storms of others willingly, even when he feels fear for their safety, their future, or their fragile hearts. Jake also displays courage when confronting his own mistakes. When he hurts someone unintentionally or avoids responsibility for too long, fear emerges. He worries he has damaged a bond. He worries he did not act soon enough. Yet Jake does not hide from this fear forever. He eventually returns, apologizes, and makes amends. This reveals a deeper kind of bravery. It is easier to face monsters than to face personal fault. Jake does both with sincerity. Another layer of Jake's courage appears in his willingness to step into roles he does not fully understand. Fatherhood is one example. Jake initially feels fear when he realizes he will be responsible for raising children. He worries he will not be enough, or that he will fail to understand them. Yet he embraces the role fully. He learns through experience. He asks for help when needed. He allows himself to grow. His courage lies in moving forward despite fear, trusting that love will guide him. Jake's relationship with fear also shapes his connection to the passage of time. He fears the loss of moments, the changing of relationships, and the inevitability of growth. Yet he does not resist these changes. He allows himself to feel the fear, then continues living with openness. This acceptance becomes a form of courage that defines many stages of his life. He knows that nothing stays the same, and instead of holding on too tightly, he adapts with grace. Jake's courage is not the loud, dramatic kind. It is the kind that grows in the shadows of vulnerability. He understands that fear cannot be conquered through force. It must be softened, understood, and held gently. He approaches fear the same way he approaches emotions. He listens to it. He lets it settle. He lets it teach him what matters. Then he moves forward with kindness. Jake's hidden depth becomes clear when he chooses courage for the sake of others. He steps into danger for Finn. He holds emotional weight for Lady Rainicorn. He accepts cosmic complexity for Prismo. He confronts family shadows for Jermaine. He adapts to new responsibilities for his children. These actions reveal the heart of his courage. Jake is brave because he cares. He is brave because he loves deeply. He is brave because he wants the world to feel lighter for the people around him. In the end, Jake's relationship with fear reveals one of the most profound truths about him. His calm nature is not a mask. It is a choice, a deliberate, compassionate choice to bring peace into a world filled with uncertainty. Jake's courage does not roar, it whispers, it holds, it comforts. It moves quietly alongside fear and transforms it into connection. Through this gentle courage, Jake becomes one of the most emotionally resilient souls in OO, shaped not by the absence of fear, but by the love that carries him through it. Jake the dog lives in a world shaped by conflict. OO carries the remnants of ancient wars, broken kingdoms, unstable magic, and old wounds that surface again and again. Many characters respond to this landscape with intensity or caution. Some immerse themselves in power to prevent disaster. Others carry the weight of their past, like silent armor. Jake chooses another path. He searches for peace, not as an escape, but as a way to build a life that rises above chaos. Peace becomes one of his defining values, shaping his personality, his choices, and the relationships that form the core of his world. Jake did not grow up in a peaceful home. Joshua and Margaret lived with constant activity, constant responsibility, and constant vigilance. Their jobs required attention and strength. Their home carried energy that never fully relaxed. Jake admired his parents, but he also learned the cost of constant tension. When he became old enough to make choices of his own, he naturally drifted toward a different way of living. Peace became the environment he sought for himself. He gravitated toward calm music, gentle activities, and moments of quiet reflection. He learned to soothe situations rather than heighten them. This desire for peace shaped Jake's approach to interpersonal conflict. When tensions rise between friends, Jake tries to soften the atmosphere. He cracks jokes carefully, not to distract, but to ease the pressure until conversation becomes possible. When frustrations build, he listens instead of pushing back. When someone he cares about behaves irrationally, he offers understanding instead of judgment. These subtle acts reveal that Jake builds peace through emotional intelligence rather than force. Jake's relationship with Finn provides one of the clearest examples of this. Finn's heart often drives him toward bold action. When conflicts arise, Finn's instinct is usually to confront the issue head-on. Jake understands this, yet he also sees the emotional toll that direct confrontation can create. Jake steps in as a calming presence, encouraging reflection, patience, and empathy. He never blocks Finn's growth, but he guides him towards solutions that consider the emotional complexity of others. Jake shows Finn that peace is not weakness. It is a choice that protects both sides of a conflict. Jake's peaceful approach becomes even more apparent in his connection to Marceline. She carries centuries of emotional scars and can easily slip into isolation or defensive behavior. Jake never reacts to her mood swings with aggression or frustration. Instead, he treats her with softness. He recognizes that her conflicts often come from old pain rather than present intention. His presence becomes a quiet reminder that she does not need to perform strength around him. Jake's peaceful nature gives Marceline room to be herself without fear of judgment. With Princess Bubblegum, Jake's relationship to peace takes another form. PB constantly navigates political responsibility, moral dilemmas, and the pressure of leadership. She often approaches conflict with calculated logic, which can be draining even for someone as brilliant as she is. Jake does not try to solve her problems. He simply offers emotional stability. His peace counterbalances her intensity. It reminds her that she is more than her duties. Jake brings comfort into the space she rarely allows herself to occupy. When PB stands on the edge of hard decisions, Jake's calming presence helps her see the situation with greater clarity. Peace also grows naturally from Jake's partnership with Lady Rainicorn. Their relationship is rooted in mutual respect and trust. They do not need constant reassurance or dramatic conversations to stay connected. Their peace comes from the ease of being together. Their home is filled with softness, warmth, and shared moments that do not depend on adventure to feel meaningful. Jake's peaceful demeanor complements Lady Rainicorn's thoughtful, grounded nature. Together, they build an environment where conflict does not overpower love. They resolve disagreements quietly, adapting to one another instead of winning arguments. Their peace becomes the foundation of their family. Jake's children deepen his commitment to peaceful living. He understands that they grow quickly and experience life at an accelerated pace. He does not impose strict expectations. Instead, he cultivates an environment where they feel safe, heard, and supported. His peaceful approach allows them to explore their identities without fear. Jake knows that children need space to make mistakes. His patience creates that space. His calmness shows them that they do not need to rush through life emotionally, even if they grow physically at a rapid rate. Jake's peaceful nature becomes even more significant when placed against the backdrop of U's dangers. He is capable of tremendous strength, yet he chooses restraint. He has the power to dominate, yet he chooses cooperation. This choice is not rooted in fear. It is rooted in a deep understanding that peace maintains bonds, protects relationships, and preserves the humanity in every being he encounters. Jake has seen what unchecked power looks like through figures like Warren Ampersand, and he chooses a different path. This internal commitment to peace becomes especially clear during moments of large-scale conflict. Jake confronts overwhelming foes, yet he does not lose himself to violence. He fights when necessary, but he does so with purpose rather than aggression. The difference is subtle but meaningful. Jake's actions in these moments reveal that his strength exists to protect peace, not to destroy threats for the sake of dominance. Even in battle, his heart remains guided by compassion. Jake's relationship with cosmic experiences also strengthens his commitment to peace. In spaces beyond time and space, he sees how vast existence truly is. Most beings would feel overwhelmed or lost when faced with the infinite. Jake feels humbled. Instead of seeking cosmic power, he returns to U with a deeper appreciation for simple joys. He chooses the peace of shared meals, family time, and quiet evenings with friends. Cosmic revelations do not inflate his ego, they deepen his gratitude. Jake's wisdom teaches him that peace is more precious than grand cosmic truths. Another dimension of Jake's relationship with peace comes from his ability to forgive. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful forms of peace a person can practice. Jake forgives quickly, yet not carelessly. His forgiveness is rooted in understanding. He recognizes that people hurt others out of confusion, fear, or pain. He gives them the grace to learn from their mistakes. This does not make him naive. It makes him compassionate. Forgiveness transforms conflict into growth, and Jake chooses this transformation whenever possible. Jake's peaceful nature also shows up in the way he handles regret. When he realizes he has made a mistake, he does not create further chaos by avoiding responsibility. He addresses the issue calmly, apologizes sincerely, and makes amends. This approach prevents conflict from spreading. It keeps relationships intact. It teaches others that peace does not come from pretending to be perfect, but from honest effort to repair harm. Jake's hidden depth becomes clearest when considering how intentionally he creates peace in the emotional lives of others. He understands that most creatures in U carry some form of insecurity, trauma, or unresolved conflict. He responds to these emotional currents with sensitivity. Jake does not need to solve their problems. He simply offers peace as a space where they can breathe again. This peaceful presence makes Jake a grounding force in the lives of those around him. Finn relies on it. Lady Rainicorn treasures it. Marceline softens under it. Princess Bubblegum relaxes because of it. Jake becomes the heart of his circle, not through authority or power, but through the quiet peace he brings into every space. Jake's hidden depth lies in his ability to choose peace in a world shaped by chaos. He understands that peace requires strength, patience, and emotional clarity. It requires listening more than speaking, understanding more than judging, and loving more than fearing. Jake embodies these qualities naturally. His peace is not passive. It is active, deliberate, and compassionate. It guides him through life and shapes the world around him. In a land marked by uncertainty, Jake becomes a steady reminder that peace, once chosen, becomes a form of courage that transforms everything it touches. Jake the dog sees the world in a way that blends intuition, openness, and an almost spiritual quiet. He does not call himself wise or mystical. He does not claim to understand the deeper forces that move through U. Yet, again and again, Jake slips into spaces that reveal a sensitivity far beyond the abilities of most. These moments do not transform him into a prophet or a sage. Instead, they reveal a layer of perception he carries in silence. Jake understands the unknown, not through study, but through a natural sense of harmony that follows him wherever he goes. Jake's spiritual sensitivity begins with his ability to remain calm in environments that would overwhelm others. He has a way of relaxing into the moment, no matter how strange or surreal it becomes. This stillness allows him to perceive things without fear clouding his view. When reality bends or the world slips into dreamlike logic, Jake does not panic. He accepts the shift and adapts. His openness becomes a bridge between the familiar and the inexplicable. His experiences with Prismo offer one of the clearest examples of this connection. Prismo's realm operates on rules that differ completely from U. Time becomes fluid. Possibility becomes endless. Existence behaves more like a thought than a place. Jake feels the strangeness of it, yet he does not tense or resist. He moves through the time room with ease, sensing its rhythm rather than analysing it. His sensitivity allows him to understand Prismo not as a distant cosmic figure, but as a friend whose existence stretches far beyond simple definitions. Jake sees both the power and the loneliness in Prismo, and this emotional understanding shapes their bond. Jake's awareness of the unknown deepens during his encounters with visions, dreams, and alternate lives. Some of these visions reveal versions of himself that differ from the Jake he knows. Some reveal paths he could have walked, choices he could have made, or forms he might have taken. These experiences could easily unsettle someone, yet Jake responds with quiet acceptance. He understands that identity is not fixed. Life contains many possibilities, and he does not fear the idea that his own story could have taken countless shapes. His spiritual sensitivity allows him to see these alternate lives as reflections, not threats. Another key moment comes when Jake enters the afterlife. The environment he finds there operates on rules he cannot fully grasp. Souls take unusual shapes. The atmosphere feels both peaceful and surreal. Yet Jake does not freeze or retreat. He walks through this realm with the same gentle adaptability he carries in U. He speaks to figures who exist beyond the limits of normal life. He accepts the shifts in form and feeling. He allows the experience to wash over him without resistance. This openness reveals that Jake is not afraid of the mysteries that define existence. He respects them and understands that some truths cannot be explained, only felt. Jake's sensitivity to the unseen also appears in how he interacts with magical creatures. He speaks with them using a blend of intuition and emotion rather than logic. He understands their motives through tone, instinct, and gentle observation. He senses when a creature is frightened, confused, or acting out of misunderstood impulse. Jake reacts accordingly. He approaches strange beings with respect, patience, and empathy. This sensitivity creates peaceful connections with creatures that might otherwise be treated as threats. Jake's shape-shifting plays an unexpected role in his spiritual awareness. His body changes with thought, mood, and instinct. This flexibility gives him an unusual understanding of existence. Jake knows that form is not fixed. He understands that identity is shaped by intention, emotion, and experience, rather than rigid structure. His abilities help him grasp concepts that others struggle to comprehend. When reality bends, Jake does not resist because his own body bends too. He is part of the fluidity that defines Oo's deeper forces. One of Jake's quiet spiritual gifts is his ability to accept what cannot be changed. Many characters in Oo struggle with the unknown. They want to control it, understand it, or conquer it. Jake moves differently. He accepts uncertainty with humility. He recognizes that not every question has an answer. He understands that some truths reveal themselves only in their own time. This acceptance does not make him passive, it makes him peaceful. It frees him from fear and allows him to move through the unknown with a grounded heart. Jake's spiritual sensitivity becomes especially clear when he encounters situations that blur the line between life and dream. He does not separate these realms rigidly. He treats dreams as spaces where emotional truths can appear in symbolic form. He treats unusual visions as messages from places beyond logic. Jake does not dismiss these experiences. He listens to them quietly. He interprets them through intuition rather than analysis. This attention gives him emotional insight that goes unnoticed by others. His wisdom grows in the spaces where reality and imagination intertwine. Jake also carries an unusual awareness of emotional energy. He senses when someone feels unstable, even if they hide it well. This sensitivity helps him guide conversations gently. He knows when to encourage someone to speak and when to leave silence untouched. He knows when someone needs comfort and when they need space. Jake reads emotional energy the way others read maps. This intuitive understanding shapes his spiritual presence in the lives of others. People feel safe around him because they sense that Jake sees them without judgment. Jake's spiritual sensitivity connects to another important quality, his acceptance of transformation. He knows that everything changes, including himself. He experiences physical transformation constantly, and this teaches him that emotional transformation is natural too. He understands that identity grows through time, loss, joy, and mystery. Instead of fighting these changes, he allows them to unfold. This acceptance brings him peace in situations that might unsettle others. Jake's openness to transformation lets him hold experiences without fear or resistance. Jake's wisdom around the unknown deepens further through his reflections on love. He understands that love is not logical. It cannot be measured or predicted. It moves in ways that defy reason. His relationship with Lady Rainicorn teaches him that love grows through patience, trust, and an openness to the unfamiliar. Their bond bridges species, languages, and traditions. Jake never tries to reduce their relationship to simple explanations. He honors the mystery within it. He accepts that love, like the unknown, carries its own rhythm. His spiritual sensitivity lets him trust that rhythm wholeheartedly. Another part of Jake's connection to the unknown comes from his humility. He does not pretend to understand the forces that shape existence. He does not search for grand answers. He simply listens. This listening becomes a quiet form of wisdom. Jake knows when to let go of questions that cannot be answered. He knows when to step back from complexity and trust that life will guide him to the truth when he is ready. This humility protects him from the fear that often comes with encountering the unknown. Jake's sensitivity also affects the way he navigates grief. When loss touches his life, Jake feels the weight of it deeply. Yet he understands that grief is not something to fight. It is something to hold gently. His acceptance of grief allows him to support others through their sorrow. He provides comfort without trying to solve the pain. His spiritual awareness teaches him that healing takes time and silence as much as it takes conversation. Through all these experiences, Jake emerges as someone profoundly attuned to the hidden layers of existence. He senses what others overlook. He accepts what others resist. He listens where others speak. His relationship with the unknown is not built on fear or fascination. It is built on trust. Jake trusts life to reveal itself slowly. He trusts love to guide him. He trusts friendship, family, and intuition to carry him through uncertainty. This quiet trust becomes one of the deepest and most beautiful parts of his character. Jake never claims spiritual insight. He never announces wisdom. Yet his actions, choices, and presence reveal someone who understands the world on a level that cannot be taught. Jake's hidden depth lies in the soft way he connects with the mysteries around him. He does not try to solve them. He moves with them. He honors them. He becomes a bridge between the ordinary and the extraordinary. Through this gentle sensitivity, Jake shows that the deepest truths are not found in answers, but in the quiet courage accept the unknown with an open heart. Creativity flows through Jake the dog as naturally as breath. He does not force ideas or chase inspiration. Instead, he allows imagination to drift into his mind the same way a warm breeze slips through an open window. His creativity is effortless, soft, and deeply connected to the way he sees the world. Jake does not treat imagination as a tool for performance. He treats it as an extension of his inner life, a quiet form of expression that reveals how deeply he feels, observes, and adapts. Jake's creative nature begins with the way he uses his shape-shifting. Many characters might treat such a power as a weapon or a means of gaining advantage. Jake treats it as a form of art. He stretches and folds himself into shapes that reflect his emotions, thoughts, or desires in the moment. If he feels joyful, he becomes large and round, taking up space with warmth. If he feels cautious, he becomes small and nimble. If he feels playful, he twists into whimsical forms that amuse those around him. His body becomes a canvas where imagination moves freely. This ability does not simply make him flexible in battle. It reveals the way Jake processes the world. His creativity emerges the instant he recognizes the shape a moment requires. If a friend needs comfort, he becomes a blanket. If Finn needs protection, he becomes a shield. If a situation demands humor, he becomes something funny. Jake reads emotional cues and responds with imagination rather than logic. This is creativity at its purest. It is adaptive, heartfelt, and deeply intuitive. Jake's creativity also appears in the way he solves problems. While others might rely on strategy or brute force, Jake trusts his imagination. He approaches challenges with an open mind and a flexible heart. If he cannot find a direct solution, he invents one. He creates pathways out of possibilities. His ideas often look simple, yet they arise from a mind that understands multiple emotional and physical layers at once. The most comforting aspect of Jake's creativity is that he uses it to make life easier for others. He cooks meals that blend surprising flavors. He sings songs that soothe or amuse. He tells stories that help people rest. His creations are not grand or elaborate. They are cozy, gentle, and full of personality. Jake knows that creativity does not need to be impressive to matter. It needs to bring comfort. It needs to bring connection. His imagination becomes a way to nurture the hearts around him. His creative instincts shine brightest when he is with Finn. Their adventures are filled with moments in which Jake's imagination becomes the foundation of their success. When Finn feels stuck, Jake offers a new perspective. When a solution seems impossible, Jake finds a playful workaround. His creativity encourages Finn to see life with a softer lens. Jake teaches him that problems can be approached from unexpected angles. He shows Finn that imagination is not childish. It is a source of resilience. Jake's creativity is also woven into his relationship with Lady Rainicorn. Together, they share quiet moments of artistic expression. Sometimes it is through food, sometimes it is through stories, sometimes it is through the natural rhythm of their conversations. Their bond thrives on the gentle creativity Jake brings into their life. He finds ways to express affection through small gestures that arise spontaneously from his imagination. A shape-shifted embrace, a playful dance, a silly face to make her smile. Each moment becomes its own soft work of art. With his children, Jake's creativity becomes both a bonding tool and a teaching method. Rainicorn dog children inherit a blend of traits that make their development unpredictable. Jake meets these surprises with imagination instead of stress. If one child needs help understanding their Rainicorn abilities, Jake turns learning into a creative game. If another child struggles with emotional regulation, Jake uses music, shape, or gentle storytelling to soothe them. His creativity creates a world where his children feel understood and supported. Jake builds lessons through laughter instead of pressure, and this approach allows his children to grow into themselves without fear. Jake's creative instincts also bring a sense of wonder to the group of friends he pulls close. Marceline, who often hides behind emotional walls, finds herself relaxing in Jake's presence. His imagination brings playfulness into her life without forcing vulnerability. He shows her moments of light-heartedness that soften her solitude. For Princess Bubblegum, Jake's creativity offers an escape from the precision and calculation that define much of her daily life. His imaginative nature reminds her that joy and spontaneity can coexist with responsibility. His presence brings colour to a world that often becomes monochrome under the weight of duty. Another dimension of Jake's creativity appears when he interacts with magical creatures and unusual beings. Many of these beings communicate in ways that are more symbolic than literal. Jake's ability to think unconventionally allows him to understand them. He approaches each encounter with curiosity rather than fear. His creativity helps him interpret gestures, tones, and atmospheres that others might misread. He imagines how the creature sees the world and responds in a way that meets it halfway. This adaptability makes Jake one of the most effective communicators in OO, even though he never describes himself that way. Jake's creativity also influences his relationship to the natural world. He sees personality in landscapes, feelings in weather patterns, and stories in every corner of OO. When he travels, he allows his surroundings to guide his imagination. A strange forest becomes a place of playful discovery. A lonely desert becomes a meditation on space and silence. A shimmering lake becomes a doorway into reflection. Jake's imagination helps him connect to places as deeply as he connects to people. His creativity reaches a spiritual dimension when he encounters the unknown. Strange dreams or surreal visions do not frighten him, they inspire him. Jake understands that imagination is a bridge between the visible and the hidden. He does not try to interpret these experiences through logic. He allows intuition to guide him. His imagination becomes a tool for moving through mystery with ease and respect. Jake trusts imagination because it reveals truths that cannot be spoken directly. His creative strength is not limited to light-hearted moments. When situations grow heavy or frightening, Jake uses creativity to ease fear. He shifts into shapes that protect or comfort. He invents actions that break tension. He introduces humour at the precise moment needed to keep others from collapsing under pressure. This creative sensitivity becomes one of his most important emotional gifts. He keeps hearts afloat during moments when they might otherwise sink. Jake's creativity also helps him navigate sorrow. When he faces loss or regret, he does not bury himself in quiet despair. He expresses emotions through gentle, imaginative acts that help him process what he feels. He cooks a sentimental meal. He hums a nostalgic tune. He forms shapes that reflect the weight or softness of his emotions. Through these creative expressions, Jake heals without forcing himself to understand everything at once. Jake's hidden depth shines through the fact that his creativity is never self-centered. It always reaches outward. He uses his imagination to connect, to comfort, and to help. His creative instinct is a form of love. It shapes his relationships, guides his decisions, and softens the world around him. Jake's imagination teaches others that creativity is not simply a talent, it is an act of care. In the end, Jake's creativity reveals a heart that sees beauty in the ordinary, possibility in the difficult, and humor in the unpredictable. He uses imagination not to escape life, but to enrich it. His creative mind becomes a quiet force that spreads warmth through every corner of his world. Through imagination, Jake transforms life's challenges into manageable experiences and its joys into unforgettable moments. His hidden depth lives in the gentle creativity that shapes the way he moves, loves, and understands the world, turning everyday moments into something quietly extraordinary. Jake the dog lives not only for the moment, but for the threads of his life that weave into the futures of others. His legacy is not carved into monuments or declared loudly. It is whispered in small moments, carried in the laughter of his children, felt in Finn's evolving heart, visible in the steady foundation he builds for those around him. Jake's hidden depth shines brightest when we consider what he leaves behind and how he shapes the world without demanding recognition for the shaping. Jake's legacy begins with his family. He and Lady Rainicorn build a home filled with warmth, creativity, and love. Their children inherit parts of both parents, the playful dog nature, the Rainicorn heritage, the curiosity, the confidence, the sense of belonging. Jake does not try to force his values onto them. Instead, he lives them. His children watch him protect, laugh, relax, comfort, and shift his body just for fun or just to show love. In those silent acts, they learn what it means to belong, what it means to care, what it means to be part of a world that does not demand perfection but values presence. Jake's legacy lives in the way his children choose to be. Jake's legacy also stretches through his friendship with Finn. The companion he once guided becomes a man in his own right. Finn carries Jake's influence in his heart. He carries the lessons of empathy, adaptability, humor, and patience that Jake taught without speaking grand phrases. When Finn faces choices that echo early adventures, Jake's voice is present in the way he weighs his actions, in the way he laughs in the dark moments, in the way he reaches for connection before conflict. Jake's legacy flows through that bond quietly but surely. Beyond his family and friends, Jake leaves traces across Ooo simply through the way he lives. He treats every being with kindness. He remains open to the odd, the scary, the unknown. He adapts. He flows. He shapes the world, not through force, but through heart. His legacy is the soft influence that turns lives less rough, that makes emotional survival possible for many. People who may never name Jake as their hero still feel the result of his presence. Softer responses, quieter walls, lighter burdens. Jake's legacy is visible in the transformation of relationships across Ooo. He bridges heritage with innovation. His marriage with Lady Rainicorn blends two different beings and cultures. In their union, children are born who carry both her Rainicorn roots and his dog lineage. This literal blending becomes a symbol of possibility. The past does not trap you. Legacy can evolve. Jake's life shows others that one can honor heritage while creating something new. This message becomes part of his legacy. His legacy reaches the cosmic too. The experiences he carries outside normal existence influence how he returns to daily life. He brings back humility, perspective, and softness. He shows others that surviving cosmic forces does not require becoming hardened. It requires remaining human. The world of Ooh benefits from this perspective. Jake's legacy teaches that the extraordinary does not force out the ordinary. Instead, it enriches it. Jake's legacy is also found in the way he handles aging, slow though dog and Rainicorn children grow. He does not panic at change. He does not cling to glory days. He cherishes memories and looks forward to new moments. He passes on this attitude to those who watch him. His legacy is the living proof that life is not about staying the same, but about flowing. He teaches that the best things we leave behind are our actions, our kindness, our presence, not our achievements or our fame. Another dimension of Jake's legacy is his influence on humor and adventure in Ooh. He shows that exploration does not need to be destructive. It can be compassionate, playful, and rooted in connection. Others who adventure with him learn that bravery does not require recklessness. His legacy includes the generation of adventurers who carry his kindness and flexibility alongside their courage. Jake also leaves a legacy in the way beings speak to each other in Ooh. His emotional awareness, creativity, and acceptance of difference ripple outward. People become more open to creatures who speak different languages, to friendships that cross species, to alliances that form through trust rather than fear. Jake's life becomes a silent curriculum for emotional intelligence. His legacy is the network of relationships that align with his values. He prepares his legacy not through speeches, but through everyday living, cooking a meal for Lady Rainicorn, playing with his children, helping Finn with a problem, sitting quietly beside Marceline. These ordinary acts accumulate. They do not shout. They whisper. They shine quietly. The collection of these moments becomes his true monument. Jake's legacy is not seen in statues. It is lived in hearts. Jake's legacy also faces the challenge of change and mortality. He understands that his time, like everyone's time, is finite. He knows his children will outgrow him in certain ways. He knows that the world will shift beyond his control, yet he does not fear this. Instead, he embraces the responsibility of leaving something behind that matters. He trusts that his influence will persist through the lives he has touched, the laughter he has shared, the kindness he has given. His legacy rests in continuity, not permanence. Jake's hidden depth thus becomes evident in the way he prepares for the future while staying present. He loves the moment, yet he invests in what comes after. He builds memory, connection, adaptability, and love into the world, so that others might walk forward with them. His legacy is a soft current that flows beneath the surface of Ooh, unseen, yet shaping the landscape of lives. In the final analysis, Jake the dog's legacy is not defined by the shape he chooses in battle, the adventures he completes, or even the powers he uses. It is defined by the hearts he touches. It is defined by the warmth he brings into places where coldness might reign. It is defined by the way he combines freedom with responsibility, courage with vulnerability, fun with presence, and love with quiet strength. His legacy is not loud. It is not claim-making. It is gentle. It is lasting. And it matters. Because the world he helps build is a softer, kinder place than the one he entered. Jake the dog has always lived close to the earth, the sky, and the quiet pulse of the world around him. He moves through forests, fields, mountains, and strange magical landscapes with a comfort that feels almost instinctive. While other characters interpret nature as a setting or a backdrop, Jake treats it as something alive. He listens to it, feels it, and flows with it. His relationship with nature reveals another layer of his hidden depth, showing a spiritual, emotional, and intuitive connection that never needs words to make sense. Jake's bond with the natural world begins with his easy adaptability. His shape-shifting mirrors nature's fluidity. A tree bends with the wind. Water follows the shape of its container. Clouds drift lazily through the sky. Jake mirrors this same rhythm. His body stretches, folds, widens, and softens. His movement matches the gentle patterns of Oo's landscapes. This physical fluidity becomes an internal one. Jake recognizes that the world is not rigid. It breathes, it changes, it speaks in ways that cannot be translated through language alone. When Jake walks through a quiet forest, he does so with a sense of belonging. He notices the balance between light and shade. He senses when the wind carries calm or tension. He picks up on the emotional tone of a place, the same way he senses emotional tone in people. Jake respects these spaces. He does not push against their natural energy. Instead, he adjusts his own presence to match what the land feels like. This harmony makes him feel at home almost anywhere. Jake's relationship with nature is also shaped by his appreciation of simple pleasures. He enjoys cooking outdoors, lounging in the grass, staring at the sky, and listening to the quiet sounds that surround him. These small moments reveal a mind attentive to detail. Jake does not seek distraction when he is in nature. He allows himself to experience the moment directly. He listens to birds, rustling leaves, distant magic, and shifting weather patterns. These sounds soothe him. They remind him that life continues in peaceful rhythms even when chaos exists elsewhere. Jake's connection to nature also influences how he approaches magical creatures. Many beings in Oo exist as hybrids of nature and magic. Some appear frightening or unpredictable, yet Jake approaches them with curiosity rather than fear. His sensitivity allows him to sense intention rather than react to appearance. He reads the emotional undercurrent of a creature's behavior. If it is distressed, he behaves gently. If it is calm, he mirrors that calm. This sensitivity gives him an unusual ability to communicate with creatures that lack human language. Jake does not speak to them with words. He speaks through presence. Another part of Jake's bond with nature is his understanding of natural boundaries. He respects spaces that are not meant to be disturbed. When he senses that a place does not welcome entry, he listens. He does not force exploration. Jake's awareness of natural balance helps him avoid unnecessary conflict. Instead of challenging nature, he adapts to it. This respect makes him a peaceful traveller through lands that might challenge or reject others. Jake's connection to nature also teaches him patience. Natural processes are slow, rhythmic, and deliberate. Jake absorbs this rhythm. He waits without rushing. He observes without interrupting. When he is unsure of what to do next, he simply stays still and allows the world around him to guide his thoughts. Nature becomes a quiet teacher, showing him that not every question requires immediate action or immediate answers. Some truths reveal themselves only through waiting. Jake's bond with the natural world also shapes his understanding of life cycles. He sees how creatures are born, how they grow, how they age, and how they return to the earth. This awareness influences his emotional wisdom. He does not fear change because he sees it happening all around him. He does not cling to permanence, because he understands that nature itself constantly transforms. This perspective allows him to handle transitions with grace. He accepts that seasons change, relationships evolve, and stages of life pass. Instead of fighting these shifts, he moves with them. Jake's connection to nature also reveals itself during moments of personal reflection. When he feels overwhelmed, he often steps outside. A quiet journey through the landscape clears his mind. He senses his worries soften when he breathes fresh air or watches the sun settle behind distant hills. Nature becomes a gentle space where he can feel without judgment. It offers him clarity, healing, and peace. These moments show that Jake uses nature not as an escape, but as a companion who understands what quiet presence truly means. His shape-shifting, too, expresses his connection to the natural world on deeper levels. Sometimes his forms resemble creatures he has observed. Sometimes his movements mimic the flow of rivers or the stretch of vines. Jake's transformations carry a sense of natural rhythm that comes from years of paying attention. His body becomes an extension of the living world, shifting in ways that reflect its patterns rather than opposing them. Jake's bond with nature is also linked to his moral choices. He does not see the world as something to dominate. He sees it as something to coexist with. This perspective influences how he handles conflict. He avoids destruction whenever possible, not only because he dislikes violence, but because it disrupts the balance around him. He chooses solutions that preserve harmony. Jake's hidden depth lies in understanding that nature itself thrives on balance, and he feels compelled to mirror that balance in his own life. Jake's experiences with cosmic realms also highlight his connection to the natural world. When he returns from other dimensions, he often seeks grounding by immersing himself in nature. The strangeness of alternate space is softened by the familiarity of trees, rivers, and open skies. Nature brings him home. It reminds him of who he is beneath the cosmic wonder. It reminds him that the heart beats strongest in the small, calm spaces where life feels grounded. Jake's connection to nature also influences his role as a father. He teaches his children to explore the outdoors with respect and curiosity. He encourages them to notice the world's details. He shows them how to relax under the sun, how to play without fear, and how to greet magical creatures with patience. His children, with their unique blend of traits, learn from Jake's easy relationship to nature. They sense the world's magic through their father's gentle approach. Jake's relationship with nature becomes a soothing force in the lives of those around him. Finn learns to appreciate silence and reflection by watching Jake. Marceline finds comfort in peaceful places when Jake invites her into them. Princess Bubblegum, who spends much of her life in candy constructs, rediscovers the grounding feeling of natural spaces through Jake's gentle presence. His love of nature slowly teaches others that peace can be found in simple landscapes, not just in victories or accomplishments. In the end, Jake's connection to nature reveals one of the most beautiful aspects of his hidden depth. He feels the rhythm of the world in ways that are subtle but profound. He listens to the quiet wisdom of landscapes. He moves with the flow of life rather than pushing against it. His relationship with nature shapes his emotional stability, his creativity, his compassion, and his understanding of change. Jake's depth shines in the way he lives alongside the living world instead of above it, finding peace in its simplicity and meaning in its constant transformation. Jake the dog drifts through life with an ease that makes him look simple to those who do not look closely. He naps in sunbeams, cooks comforting meals, tells jokes that dissolve tension, and walks through as if the world itself is a familiar friend. Yet beneath this calm surface lies a heart shaped by experience, empathy, spiritual sensitivity, creativity, love, and quiet courage. Across his life, Jake becomes someone defined not by the power he wields, but by the peace he creates. His hidden depth is not a single trait or moment. It is a mosaic, a collection of steady truths that form the full shape of who he becomes. Jake's heart is shaped first by his family. Joshua and Margaret gave him strength, but also instability. From them he learned the value of adaptability and the importance of emotional softness. Growing up in a home where tension existed alongside love taught Jake to become the calm centre of his own life. He learned that ease is not laziness, it is survival. It is balance. His early experiences planted the seed of the person he would grow to be, one who responds to chaos with softness and to fear with gentle humour. His bond with Jermaine deepened his understanding of responsibility. Jake saw the weight Jermaine carried, the devotion that shaped him, and the quiet sacrifices he made. This relationship taught Jake the meaning of loyalty. It taught him that caring for someone does not always mean sharing burdens equally. Sometimes it means supporting them emotionally, even when paths diverge. His connection with Jermaine helped Jake understand that families evolve, yet love endures. Jake's bond with Finn brought out his deepest instincts. From childhood to adulthood, Jake served as Finn's stabilizer, his confidant, his guide, and his emotional anchor. Jake watched Finn grow through heartbreak, discovery, mistakes, victories, and moments of vulnerability. Through all of it, Jake stood beside him quietly, offering direction without force, and comfort without condition. This relationship became a cornerstone of Jake's life. It revealed the gentle strength inside him, the strength that lifts others without lifting itself into the spotlight. His relationship with Lady Rainicorn shaped his maturity. With her, Jake learned patience, compromise, and commitment. Their bond crossed language, species, culture, and expectation, yet it remained steady. Jake did not need grand gestures to express love. He expressed it through presence, through consistent kindness, through the home they built together. Their partnership became a space where Jake's depth grew naturally. With Lady Rainicorn, he learned to balance freedom with devotion and adventure with stability. Jake's children expanded his heart even further. Their quick growth challenged him emotionally, yet he rose to the challenge without hesitation. He learned to listen carefully, to adapt to each child's unique nature, and to offer guidance without stifling individuality. His love for them revealed the depth of his patience. He became a father who led by example, showing that strength can be soft, stability can be playful, and love can be expressed through simple attention. Jake's connection to the cosmic elements of U added another dimension to his heart. His experiences with Prismo, with realms beyond time, and with reality-shifting dreams did not distance him from the world. They brought him closer to it. Instead of chasing cosmic answers, he returned to U with a greater appreciation for everyday joys. These experiences taught him that life's vastness does not diminish the importance of small moments. Jake found meaning in the infinite by cherishing the finite. His creativity revealed an interior world full of warmth and imagination. Jake saw possibilities where others saw obstacles. His shape-shifting expressed his emotions, his humour, and his desire to help. Creativity shaped his relationships, his approach to problems, and his understanding of himself. Through imagination, Jake brought lightness into heavy moments and delight into quiet ones. His creativity became an extension of his heart, offering comfort to those who needed it. Jake's connection to nature grounded him, He recognized the rhythm of the world and allowed his life to follow it. Trees swayed, rivers flowed, seasons shifted. Jake saw himself as part of this movement rather than separate from it. Nature reminded him of change, of patience, of renewal. It soothed his worries and shaped his resilience. Through nature, Jake learned that life does not have to be controlled. It can be trusted. Fear also shaped Jake's heart, not by weakening it, but by clarifying it. Jake feared losing the people he loved, far more than he feared physical danger. This fear pushed him to become gentle. It pushed him to comfort, to protect, to remain steady. Jake learned that courage is not the loud defiance of fear, but the quiet choice to love through it. His courage came not from strength alone, but from vulnerability embraced with honesty. Jake's spirituality, though subtle, informed the way he moved through life. He accepted the unknown without forcing explanations. He sensed emotional energy, respected mysteries, and understood that existence carries layers beyond logic. His spiritual sensitivity gave him clarity in confusing situations. It allowed him to approach life with humility and openness. Jake's spirit tuned itself to the unseen currents of U, guiding him in ways he rarely spoke about. Jake's peace became the final shape of his heart. In a world marked by conflict, he chose harmony. In a world shaped by survival, he chose comfort. In a world where many characters wrestled with destiny, identity, or purpose, Jake chose presence. His peace was not passive. It was an active offering, a gift, a quiet force that softened every person who came near him. His life showed that peace does not mean doing nothing. It means approaching everything with love. All these pieces form Jake's legacy. It is a legacy built from small acts, soft words, easy laughter, loyal companionship, and consistent kindness. Jake did not seek greatness, yet his influence reached deep into the hearts of his family, friends, and the land of U. His hidden depth becomes undeniable when viewed as a whole. Jake is not just a relaxed adventurer. He is a source of emotional stability, a wellspring of imagination, a calming presence, a loving partner, a dedicated father, a loyal brother, a spiritual wanderer, and a quiet guide. Jake becomes, in the end, a symbol of the truth that strength does not always roar. Sometimes, strength rests in a nap shared with a child. Sometimes, it lives in a joke told at the right moment. Sometimes, it appears in the willingness to grow, to listen, to understand. Sometimes strength is simply the ability to remain gentle in a world that asks constantly for hardness. Jake's hidden depth lies in the pranas, way he lives, calmly, lovingly, fully. His heart becomes his greatest gift to U, shaping not only the lives of those closest to him, but the emotional tone of the world itself. Jake teaches that life can be sweet even when it is difficult, that peace can be chosen even when chaos surrounds you, and that love, shown in steady and subtle ways, becomes the most lasting legacy of all.